talk before lunch. I proudly ate macaroni and cheese and said, in your face. I actually don't usually eat like that. I'm usually pretty carnivore, pretty close to carnivore, but I had already planned to do that. And, you know, after telling him, I don't know why carnivore isn't working, mac and cheese. What else? We are what we eat. Dr. Berry made a really big impression.
Caroline
I'm sorry, what?
Blackwell needs at least an hour and a half to do her presentation.
Start small and live in a box. Callie Blackwell will always have 45 minutes at the Self-Reliance Festival. And I will always put her right before lunch. So she goes over. What else? This is good. The mindset of never giving up and always moving forward. Yesterday, I started with my backup plan, get back up. That shirt just came out last week at SOE. And I remember seeing it on, because I was live with John. What is that? What's that shirt say? And then I got one and I said, oh, I see. I understand the statement now. It's also good to have a backup plan though, too, right? Like yesterday, somebody hurt themselves and we had a backup plan in case somebody hurt themselves. Put them into a place where they could recover. So that's good. And we had somebody who knew how to help them recover. Also good. Okay, one last thing. Who's going to say it? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this, I'm so glad you said that. Thank you. So you were the person who got hurt yesterday. I wasn't going to expose you though. You've now exposed yourself. The community response to that was amazing, wasn't it? Come free. Yeah. Okay, so let's stop on community for a second. Community, what does that mean? What does that really mean? Because community is one of those terms that's been taken over a little bit by the government systems, right? Where your school community is defined by your zip code, or it depends where you are, how they divide you up. And the idea of community is the bigger the community is, the stronger it is. Is that true? The higher quality community are people who find a way to align with each other around whatever's important to the community as defined by the community, right? And then move forward and get through differences or conflict when it comes up. And that's how you have people willing to jump in and help rather than watch you sitting there on the ground and call 911 and walk away, right? Out of fear of, well, it's not even it's the liability, right? I was talking to somebody yesterday who's, it's a secondhand story, whose friend saved somebody's life. And they were a licensed EMT, but they weren't on duty. And they will be paying that person for saving their life for the rest of their life because they helped. Like, is that a messed up structure? That's a messed up structure, right? where I think my perspective on the homestead, having had to learn animal first aid when animals are hurt on the fly, because there's not really a course like that for me. I could become a veterinarian, but I could become a vet tech, but there needs to be something between vet tech and I want to raise some sheep. And I think 4-H kind of tries to do that, but there's not a great course. Somebody connected me with somebody for potentially speaking next year who can do that. And we have an animal first aid demo towards the end of the day over around here with Brenda. So because she's had to do the same thing, and she's worked with veterinarians, and it's like you have this animal who's dying. And at that point, when you can't get a veterinarian out, which is most times if you have animals, livestock on your homestead, you have to take weird intervention that you would never think you would ever have to do. Like if they have bloat and you need to put a needle in the air out, you're like, boy, I hope based on that you putting this needle in the right place. But the alternative is the animal's going to die. And so so on an animal, it's one thing, but what if you have to do that for a person? You could be sued. I don't think anybody was worried about you suing them for giving you comfrey salve today. So thank you for not suing us for giving you comfrey salve. But also, that's we did incident report. No. But that's what I love about this community. And a lot of times people are saying, why don't you get a whole bunch more people and like drop the ticket to $10? Because I'm not sure people who aren't committed to being here and being part of the community, which means paying what we set the ticket price based on expenses. It's not like a magic made up number. It's the people willing to also help with the festival by buying their ticket, right? So that's kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to bring up Bobby, who wants to talk about how the day is going to start and introduce our first speaker. Let me bring up my favorite MC. We should make you the official MC of the Great American Preparedness Tour, who will not promise to show up at every one because he also would like to have a family. And yes. Anyway, Bobby Spags.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me now? Are you happy to be here? Are you happy to be here for real? There you go. By a show of hands, who died yesterday? I don't know if you were aware of this or not. We all die a little inside from this side of the stage every day. I don't know if you are aware of this or not, but yesterday was the second great day of jihad in the United States that was declared by the Muslim nation. We were supposed to really feel the wrath yesterday. Apparently, that's what the internet told me. No, people still came here. Yeah, people still showed up. So nobody here got jihaded yesterday, right? Show of hands. Everyone's still Gucci. Yeah. The gremlins, yes. I think Brooke Whipple is just like got like a computer chip, and you put something there, and it goes off. Where would you rather be on the great day of jihad? In your house, Cheeto dust on your chest, video game controller in your hand, or at a place like this where when you trip and fall, 50 people show up to help you back up. So thank you for ignoring yet again another empty threat by people who have nothing better to do than talk on the internet to come listen to us who have nothing better to do than talking to these things while you sit there. I'm going to bring up our very first speaker. We're going to get started with the speakers. You guys know him as Sonny Puzikas. He is going to come up and talk about, like father, like son, homeschooling your boys. I've had the pleasure of listening to him speak before. I've watched him throw people around before. Great dude. Please welcome to the stage a good friend of SRF and a good friend of all of ours, Sonny.
Is the sound on? There you go. Russians always have technical problems. All right. So how did you guys enjoy the movie last night? It's the worst sci-fi movie ever made, right? If you want a documentary about someone controlling America, they should have that Russian general named Bibi, but that's a separate story. All right, I still have a couple of minutes before I start as I'm getting caffeinated. What I'd ask of you folks is when and if you have questions, ask them as we go, because I'm probably going to go for too long and then Nicole's going to have to cut me off. So at the end, probably we're not going to have much time to chat and go back and forth with questions. So don't be afraid to participate. Raise your hand, jump up, do something to get my attention, and then we can talk about things. This time I actually made notes because this is kind of, unusual subject for me that I'm going to be addressing. Those of you who know me, we probably expect some fireworks, a lot of F-bombs, some very dry and unusual Russian sarcasm and humor, bluntness, probably a little bit of butthurt. I will probably over-deliver on bluntness and butthurt, but I may leave you slightly disappointed with sarcasm and F-bombs. I'm kind of trying to, become more civilized and control my language. Some days I do better, some days not so much, but it's a work in progress. So what I'm going to talk about today is, it's not an easy subject, and I'm certainly not, I'm not one of those dudes that can go schooling for decades and I know ins and outs and what it takes. I'm relatively new to this. We pulled my son out of the public system less than 2 years ago. But expectation was probably for me to talk about something about violence-related fighting or whatnot, and I kind of wanted to, because it comes so easy to me. I can be half asleep. This is what I do. I don't have to prepare for it. It's just like, okay, what are we talking about? Breaking legs, throats? Okay, cool. No problem. This I actually had to take notes. I had to kind of sit down and go like, all right, damn, what am I going to say? What's important, how to address it, how to try to put that message through to where us parents, and especially the fathers, take it seriously. So we as a collective in this community, be it, preppers, SRF crowd, people related to tactical response tribe, we do a lot of stuff. We learn and talk a lot about being off-grid. We talk about food and growing it and murdering it and preparing it and storing it. We talk about generators. We talk about solar panels. We talk about radio comms. We talk about guns, weapons, dogs, awareness, scaling business, making money, all of that. Right? We talk. We do a lot of talking. Meanwhile, our sons, they're watching us. And it's not just, it's not just about boys or men. Kids, they watch. And if our words and our actions are separated, what are they learning? What are they learning? To yourself in your own head, you can give yourself this shitty excuse of, well, I'm busy, I have all these projects and this and that and this and that. But if you're not consistent with what you say and what you preach and what you do, what are you teaching your boy? That boy at some point is going to be husband and father. It's going to become like a freaking generational curse. You know what I mean? Because my words don't matter. I just work with my lips. Whatever comes out, don't pay attention to it. And then what I do, close your freaking eyes. because I don't do what I say. Right? It's going to become a norm. It's going to become new normal for the boy. What boys is he going to raise? What boys is he going to raise? If you talk about healthy eating, but you're 100 pounds overweight while eating a freaking donut from Walmart, what is he watching? What is he watching? You think he's just listening to what you twerk with your lips, but he's not watching you chewing down on the 6th donut for the day? Or coming home drunk twice a week? He's watching it. You don't have to say shit. He sees it. What are you setting them up for? That it's okay to be full of crap, talk big game, and play very small game, right? Because it's okay. It's just my words, right? Words don't have to have meaning, right? You know, I'm going to kind of skip towards what I was going to say at the end, and if I hurt some feelings, I'm Sonny Puzikas, deal with it. Many of us say we're Christians, right? Without raising hands, I don't need that. How many of us Christians in our kitchens celebrated when, what's his face, that little ultra-liberal piece of crap, Jimmy something, whatever, that late night show, whatever guy. How many of us celebrated when he got canceled? How Christian is that? So if you say I'm a Christian, right, you add Christ's name to your own personality in front of your kids, and then they watch you do what? Are you? You know, a lot of Christians judge Dr. Jordan Peterson because he would not straight come out and say, yes, I'm a follower of Christ, I'm Christian, and this and that, right? He says, I try to live as if he exists. Because if I say I believe, doctor said, that means that I'm willing to die for it. I think the dude is being freaking honest. You know what I mean? He's not being cowardly, and although as a Christian, I say, you know, you shall not deny my name in your, you know, when you talk and all that, right? But he's honest. He's not bullshitting, he's not lip twerking just to be accepted, revered, or, you know, deified. Oh, what a good Christian Dr. Peterson is. You know, so pay attention because your boys and girls, they're watching. You know, you take him to Sunday service to church and then backstab talk shit about someone from your congregation. Are you Christian? I submit to you, you need to staple your lips together and do some self-reflection for a while before you talk in front of your kids. Because you're teaching them it's okay to be full of shit and lie. And they're watching it as you, giving them example to do so, day in, day out. What are we doing? Might as well send them back to Caesar, to public fucking school, you know what I mean, and let them get ruined by those lies. We're not doing much better if we do that. So as you're already getting part of the gist, this is not so much about how we teach kids, but how we need to be as those who take over from public school teachers, and by the way, private school teachers. You know, people go like, I'm going to send them to private school, it's going to be better. No, we won't. No, it won't. It's the same kleptocracy, it's just different system. It's not government. It's for-profit organization that's being run by some good capitalist who talks shit about communism, and he has agenda. Okay. How many of you here, if you can raise hands, homeschool your kids? Okay. Don't be ashamed if you don't. How many of you have your kids in public school education? Okay. What is the most common explanation why people are afraid to homeschool or don't make that switch? What do people say? Time? Okay. How much time do you think it takes to homeschool? So when my son was going to public school, and it was actually a very small independent district in East Texas, You know, they have the guardians think teachers are armed, the whole 9 yards. They don't have rainbow flags flying. You know, it's like, yeah, this is cool, right? And guess what? They because I was that guy until 2 years ago. You know, I'm busy, I'm traveling, I'm teaching, you know, I have to maintain my guns, I have to maintain my shooting range, I have to maintain my physical conditioning because I have to kick ass of 25-year-old studs, you know, and I don't have time. I come to find out that 5 days that he was in public school, by his own admission, 70% of the time he was sitting and listening to the same shit over and over and over, trying not to fall asleep. He's like, it would be cool during that time if I could communicate with my peers, but we're not allowed. Be silent. Stay dumb, listen to the same dumb shit over and over again, but stay in school because we have to put in certain amount of hours so that feds and states send us enough money to do this shit. Oh, and by the way, when they release something from somewhere in some Wuhan or whatnot, wear a mask. I don't care how hard homeschooling is. It isn't, by the way. Okay? But just by the virtue of what public schooling does to your kids, you should run to pull them out of that system. And I mean run. I don't care what it takes. Cut your work hours, certainly cut your TV time. As John Willis from SOE says, sleep faster. You know, whatever it takes, right? Pull them out of that hell because you're going to have hellions. Future young women will have gender-neutral husbands, and their kids will grow up not knowing what's right, what's wrong. And guess what? It's because you didn't have time. I submit to you it's a little bit more important, a little bit more urgent than solar panels. Agree, disagree? Solar panels are easy, guys. Because what's solar panel? It's exchange of a made product for your hard-earned cash. And then if you have enough of that cash, you're going to pay someone to install it. You're not even going to learn like yesterday, the guy talking about batteries, right? Yeah, you can pay someone a few $100s. He's going to put together that battery bank for you. Instead, you should probably do the job yourself, right? Because now you know the why behind the what. Now you understand the process involved, and you can appreciate the benefits. And if it goes wrong, you can freaking fix it, right? Do you think they teach our kids that in public schools or private schools? So why are your kids still in that system? It's kind of like, that they're feeding them a freaking acid, but you go like, it's all right. Next couple of years, he'll survive, he'll make it. Right? You wouldn't touch that shit if they paid you money, right? But you leave your kids in it. Don't do it. I think that should be, for parents, that should be your first priority. Get your kids out of that swamp. Because redoing things takes long. Personal story, I made a mistake early in my life. I married someone. I fired her after 18 years of marriage. I upgraded to much newer model. And then after $40-some thousand in legal expenses, I got custody of my son from the one that I fired because she was an alcoholic and all that stuff, right? And you go like, hey, I'm going to shape my son pretty damn quickly to be in my image, the way I want him to be. He was with her for 10 years. I now had him for 5. I'm still working to change some very, very bad things that he was instilled. It's a process. So if you're living for 5 days a week for 10 years in public school, and you think like, I'm probably going to pull him in the 10th grade or whatnot, and then we'll do some things right. By the time he starts dating, gets married, or knocks some young girl up or whatnot, you don't have enough time to fix him. You let a shitty boy into the wild, and it's on you. You can't blame your work, lack of time, the need for money. I have bills to pay. Now, that's a simple question. You have bills to pay. Do you need 4,000 square foot home? No, because somebody sold you the bill that's American dream, right? Do you need 2 Benzes in your driveway? No, they told you that's American dream and you bought it. By the way, your kids are watching that too, where your priorities are. You think they're not memorizing? You think they're not being indoctrinated? We blame public school for indoctrination, yet we indoctrinate our own boys and girls into the same shit. It's just more personal because this is the parent who does it. Think about it like this. This is going to sound a little bit, okay? Men, you participated in creating your kids. We're all created by that father. He also created your kid, but you participated, you know what I'm saying? Kind of invasively, right? So for all that pleasure and fun that you had in that participation, right, you have a price to pay, which is you have to shape, mold that product, that kid, okay? I don't know, your school board members that are males, have they participated in the process of making your kid? They didn't? Why you allow them to shape your kids? They're not vested. Yes, ma'am.
So, what you're talking about in Christ-like is interesting. I just have a statement and a question. So, when you're talking in the beginning of Christ-like, it's interesting. I just finished reading James and 1 Peter this morning that literally just talked about what you just talked about. But my question is it easier, because I have a 9-year-old little brother that we're looking at, is it easier to co-op, like to find other people, or would it be better?
100% absolutely. Most communities will have co-ops. Even if you live way out in the woods, probably within 40 miles, there is some kind of a co-op. Most likely it is based around some church organization, faith organization, whatnot, even if it's not your denomination. I'm Russian Orthodox. You know what I mean? One of the co-ops that we're running there is, like, not Southern Baptist, but something similar. I mean, I tell my son, I'm like, when they do Bible study, you don't need to stay for that class because we look at things different. Our theology is different. You know what I mean? Not to say anything wrong with that or whatnot, but we have our own thing, right? But everything else, they have life skills. They teach girls and boys how to change freaking tires on cars, how to make, I don't know, washer detergent, those kind of life skills. They teach accounting, besides history, besides biology, besides all the other things. So to me, my son goes to 2 different co-ops twice a day. 10 to 2, and then 12 to 4. And then I probably invest about $30, $40, $50 a month on ordering some stuff from online, different, curriculums. And you can ask people, there are a number of different curriculums out there. My son, at first he wanted to study hurricanes and earthquakes when he was little, then dinosaurs, then he wanted to be a rocket scientist. Now he wants to, supercharge and all this other shit, fast cars and all. So now he wants to be a mechanic. I'm like, get a little bit more grounded, but I still don't approve of that, I told him, I said, I see you in that super loud Mustang, I'm throat punching you. I'm going to show you some fatherly love. Right? So I ordered him like a 280-page thing about like basics of, being a car mechanic. And as a father, I'm absolutely clueless how to fix cars. I'm good at one thing and one thing only, hurting people, And but now I have to participate. So I actually read through that book myself because I'm like, I'm gonna look like a dumbass if when my 16-year-old, he goes like, hey Dad, what is the alternator? Where is it? What it looks like? I have no fucking clue. But now I do. And what I'm saying, when you do that as a parent, as a father, right, or mother, you're expanding your own horizons. I mean, certain holes in your life that were not filled through your, the way you were parented or the way you were schooled or whatnot. I'm not planning at any point in time switch profession and start building supercars or adding 1,000 horsepower to an F-150. But some basic shit, it's good to know. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. At least I can determine that that's a problem and that's not a problem. When at the dealership they go like, it's going to cost you $2,400, and it's a freaking one hose, So, and in any other area, history, right? A lot of you guys who went through American public education system, right? You have certain views of certain events in history. Okay, I don't hate to tell you. I love to tell you. You've been lied to excessively about World War II, about Winston Churchill, about Adolf Hitler, about Joseph Stalin, about creation of State of Israel. You've been lied to. Now you can say it's not my fault that I believe that shit, right? But if you project that to your kid, whose fault is now? Is it his? Or we're going to blame Murphy? It's just bad luck. I've been lied to, so now generationally we're just going to be infected with lies. And who are we going to blame, right? Nobody. Right? No crime, no punishment, no consequences. Cool. Life moves on. Next generation gets dumber, more removed from reality, unable to make, use logos and basic objective thinking about how the world works. Okay? But there's no one to blame for it, right? It's there are victims. There are victims, but no one committed a crime. Right? Victim happens to be your kid. You happens to be a criminal because you did not invest your own little bit time away from TV to read that alternative history, otherwise known as the real history. Who created that terrible communism? Who paid for it? And then all of a sudden you realize that your whole idea of what communism is, although you like those t-shirts, kill the commie for your mommy, right? You are wrong. People go like, is he here to tell me about virtues of communism? Shut up. I did live in the Soviet Union. I know a little bit about it. Okay? And there's a reason why I don't look back there. Okay? That should be a hint. Right? So, it's good for us as parents to kind of fix stuff that we got screwed up on because of what we've been injected with. And then you can have good conversations. Yeah, my 16-year-old's still a punk. I still want to smack him 6 times a day because he doesn't follow instructions. He thinks he has better idea than what, his stepmom or me tell him how to do things. He's like, oh, no, I'm going to improve upon that shit. And then he screws it up. And then he's pouting because he gets, consequences for it, right? So that's daily, right? But at the same time, after dinner, we sit down, whether we talk theology, whether we talk politics, whether we talk about bombing or not bombing Iran, I can actually have a good conversation with a 16-year-old. He knows it. We listen to podcasts together. He asked me to go and attend Jordan Peterson's show. He walked out, he goes like, Dad, my brain is fucking exploding here. He's like, this stuff is radical. And you go like, there's really nothing radical about Jordan Peterson teaches. I mean, that stuff's been known since the days of Seneca, BC. That's before Christ. It's not new revolutionary, right? But most of those boys, they haven't heard any of that. For them, it's just some crazy ass theory of those crazy people that don't believe what Mrs. Smith in history class told her about what an outstanding fella Winston Churchill was. He wasn't. He was more responsible for World War II than Adolf Hitler. Alternative view, right? But it's very unpopular because it hurts our feels, and our feels are developed by what? What we were told to believe, and then, because we got invested in it, we wanted to believe that and don't change it. And then we pass on bullshit lie to our own blood, our own kids. Because we want to feel comfortable with what we want to believe, forgetting that we were told to believe that. So guys, when we talk about, when we have discussions about politics, about propaganda in North Korea or Russia or this or that, zip it. Because Mr. Stalin is rolling in his grave with envy watching propaganda in modern United States. He's rolling with envy. He's going like, shit. I wish I had some American consultants. We still could have had Stalinism in Soviet Union. It would have worked. So you guys are leaders. And I say you guys because most of you are born here. I'm not. But I am American. I lived in America more than I lived in Russia. So there you are. All right, let's continue. Damn, time is going fast. So, what is education? How would you guys describe education? Like words have meaning, right? Or should. What is education? What's that?
Reading, writing, and arithmetic when they're young, basically.
Transfer of knowledge.
Facilitating the child to be an adult that is productive and
You want to write this down, okay? There was this person named Lee Mortons, and defined a classical Christian education as such. It's a cultivation of wisdom and virtue through gazing upon that which is good, true, and beautiful by means of, I'm about to see some big eyes popping out, 7 liberal arts and 4 sciences, so that we get to know, love, and enjoy God. That's a pretty heavy definition of what education should be. Certainly it isn't, but what it should be. Now I know liberal arts, right? Everybody's like, are you serious? It's liberating arts. It's not liberal arts, okay? And just so you know what they are grammar, rhetoric, logic, music, arithmetic, geometry, and astronomy. That's 7 liberal arts. Interesting, like astronomy, geometry is not science, it's art. Yes. Right. But you can do your own search, guys. Even in Google, you can find all that stuff. At least for now, they haven't removed it yet. But you never know. You know, and I had a conversation at this one homeschooling conference with people that write curriculums, homeschooling curriculums. And it split my mind. It really, I had a headache. Because when I teach what I teach, you know, as far as violence, there's this thing of, you know, there's some abstract things about the way, at the high level of functioning within violence, you do things and people go like, they cannot frame it. They're like, I don't understand how the fuck you move the way you move. They go like, it's abstract, it's obscure, right? And then you start explaining, you break it down into small components and segments, right? And those segments, they make that so you go into something that can be defined and framed, and then when you put the sum of it together, it makes up that thing that for uninitiated and uneducated seems abstract. But once you understand every single detail, it's no longer abstract, it makes sense, right? So, you know, and I was doing a lot of writing at that point for some projects, and interesting thing happened is that it was like a reversal of a paradigm. When I was writing some stuff about how to teach people, you know, in my science, I was always thinking for years that you have to go from abstract to tangible. You know, so somehow you take that abstract and make it tangible, right? And after talking to people that write homeschooling curriculums, I understood that true tangible would go towards abstract. It's kind of reverse engineered. Does it make sense? I know it's big words. But if you turn off TV and you sit down and you think about it, it becomes a very interesting rabbit hole. Very interesting rabbit hole. You know, and to educate your kids in such a way, you cannot be detached. You cannot just give them a book and go like, I want you to understand how this works. Their brain, they don't have enough experience in life. They cannot yet switch from abstract to tangible on command. I mean, if they jump into a room of tangible, they stay there. They cannot, you know, walk up to this picture, walk back, take in the big picture, right? And then walk up again to explore the detail and go like, how does this fit? Why do you think? Because if you think about it, right, it does make sense. It does make sense in what way? If we educate ourselves and our boys and girls in such manner, what are we teaching them about how to live life? We're not concerned about their IQ, we are actually increasing their general intelligence. What is general intelligence? Ability to solve problems. What is IQ? Ability to find the right product to buy to patch it up. You feel me? So people go with, you know, oh, my IQ is 105. I know which Band-Aid works best for this cut. I'm sorry, you're a dumb fuck. Sorry for the language. I told you I'm controlling my F-bombs, but sometimes it comes out. Military background, you know, what can I say? It's infectious. You know, and problem solving is most of you adults, right? Again, as the guy yesterday was talking about, putting together your battery bank by yourself is what it's problem solving. Paying him to come to your house and do it for you is buying a fix. Because when he leaves and something breaks down and it doesn't work, what do you know about it? Not a damn thing. Well, I'm just going to call him. No, he has 62 calls before you, and it's going to take him about 2 weeks. And all that meat that you stored in your freezer is by now. What's up? Right? I just wanted to buy quick fixes. That's what's up. Right? In my field, people think because I teach fighting and violence and all that stuff, it's all about mission-specific physical conditioning. No, I don't teach physical conditioning for fighters. I teach general athleticism. Okay? Especially with the boys, they have to be able to run, jump, roll, swim, twist, turn, fall, get back up. Not about, what specific exercise to develop that punch power. Once they have that physical problem-solving ability, they'll be able to come up with solutions versus needing a set, framed technique. The Jim Carrey video, you attack me the wrong way. If someone attacks you the wrong way, they don't have specific solution. Shit doesn't work. Right? But if I serve in physical, through general athleticism, I teach him how to solve problems. He'll come up with his own technique because he has a athletic and physical intelligence. Not knowledge, intelligence. He's able to think on his feet and adapt to the fight or whatever other activity he's involved with. Does it make sense? So, if we are to teach our boys, especially boys, general athleticism, this is a question for you fellas. How many of you have general athleticism? If you feel butthurt, good. It's intentional. Let me ask you another question. How many of you men here in this tent, at some point over the past 3 years of your life, uttered the words, I'm going to kick his ass? At least in your head. Yeah, you should probably raise your hands, pretty much all of you. All right, cool. Well, let's use general intelligence. What does it take to kick ass? We're going to go literal. Ass, where the ass is. About foot above the knee, right? But that's that lower portion, that hanging cheek, right? Right? So if I put my toe about where someone's low-hanging cheek would be, that would be touching ass. That's not kicking. Kicking involves penetration. You know what I'm saying? You have to go up that ass for it to be considered a kick. Otherwise, you touch the ass. That's not kicking ass. It's kind of gay. Right? So, following logic. If you say that I'm going to kick someone's ass, right? If you experiment with yourself and get yourself embarrassed, good, you should, because you should be able to do it and to teach your boys to do it. Okay? So if I have, this is touching ass, this is penetrating. My foot is up his ass. Raise your leg to that level and hold it there for 15 seconds. No one wants to try, huh? I think I have an answer. Why? Because we lip work, but we don't have ability to make it into reality, to kick ass. Okay? You should be able to stand there and hold that foot for 15 seconds up someone's ass, okay, and not fall. And then teach your son to do that. Oh, it's going to take work. Yeah. It takes work to make $1, doesn't it? You okay with that? To make $1, but not to be able to kick ass, of which you talk about often? It's okay if you get upset and leave. It ain't going to hurt my feelings.
We have a question for you,
Yes.
Sonny.
A lot of questions. So, with having boys, should we do more physical activities as well as the actual learning?
As
Would that be
Dr.
better
Berry was
for you?
talking yesterday, okay? Take them out into where it's green and blue. Take them outside, let them do physical freaking work. Okay? Don't look at it like if you have some grass. Don't look at it, oh, I need to buy a zero-turn mower. Screw that little punk. Give him a push mower and let him sweat. You old dude, you deserve to be on the zero-turn mower with the Bud Light and the cup holder while listening to Taylor Swift. His little ass didn't earn that right. Push, boy. Push. Get some calluses, get some sweat rolling. Right? Get some discipline, learn some lessons. How do we learn lessons? Suffering. Lessons need to be suffered in order to be truly learned. You know what they say? What's the difference between faith and theology? Theology is knowing about God. Faith is knowing God. One is theory, one is practice.
I was a homeschooler and became a single mom, so I took my son to live with a homestead family. I mean, they bought a mule, taught him how to plow the old-fashioned way. We had an organic garden. They butcher. I couldn't kill them, but I could help butcher the guineas, chickens, goats. I milked the goats. I'm a nurse, and people thought I was crazy, but I went out there to just be a farmhand to be able to live like that. And that way he had a man and a woman as an example how a man
That's
was.
perfect. That's perfect.
We were living with my grandmother, and I didn't want him to grow up feminine.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. See, that's the sacrifice. That's you go like, it's my kid. I want him to be with me. But as a single mother and having to provide and do, will I be able to provide that boy with means to become a man, truly a man, right? And the lady goes like, I won't. Who can? I have people. You have people. Some of you probably, as we laughed numerous times at SRFs, right? People come in, sit here, they find out they're neighbors. I mean, the lady sitting in the back there, our kids go to the same homeschooling co-op in Jacksonville, Texas. I knew her there before, and meeting there, we start talking to her like, yeah, we've been to Self-Reliance. What? In freaking Jacksonville, Texas, right? And you kind of go like, duh. And that's the thing, the creation of groups and tribes like that, it gives you those resources because you may not be able to do everything. You look at it, you go like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. My health is going to have to wait because it's going to take time for me to change my diet. I'm old. I have all these pre-existing conditions. Who do I know who can whip my son into shape? You may know somebody. Okay? I'll put him to work. Send him to me for a week. He will come back different, I guarantee you that. Right? And speaking of that, just a quick detour. I still actively teach publicly accessible classes. It's going to change next year. I'm not going to be publicly accessible. I'm only going to teach closed courses for chosen, for people that dedicate to deep learning, and I'm going to focus on a few different projects. Some of my senior students will take over teaching my public courses. But I'm starting, this is like first public announcement, that I'm going to start a online resource for a relatively affordable amount of your hard-earned cash. We're going to have online resources specifically for what I'm talking about today. It's going to be called In His Image, Like Father, Like Son. And this is going to be not only for fathers. You may have a neighbor boy who doesn't have a father, but he needs it. You know what I mean? Because I look at some of the friends of my son, and I was here already yesterday, and he screwed up on something. He didn't listen to my wife's instructions because he went out with his friends from the days when he was back in public school, and small things, right? He's 16-year-old boy, but those little Mexican dudes there, because they are chasing ass and chicks and all that stuff. You know what I mean? They're all about having, not just a freaking shampoo. They put conditioner in their hair and all that stuff. My son goes to fucking store and he buys himself a conditioner. I'm like, what kind of faggoty shit is this? I'm like, what are you doing? I haven't heard that conditioners exist before I immigrated to the States. And a lot of things like that, the manner, the way they speak, the language they use. And I'm like, is he going to butt hurt if I'm not going to allow him to hang out with those boys? Yeah. What do I care? I'm not here to be a friend. I'm here to be a father, occasionally older brother. Occasionally older brother. Never a friend. Because it's our cowardice. We want to be liked instead of doing what's our job. I don't need to be liked by my kids. When I depart and I look down, hopefully down, not up, I want to kind of shake my head and go like, attaboy, attaboy. That's the way to treat a woman. That's the way to raise kids. That's the way to kick ass with penetration. And all that. That's the way to fix the car. That's the way to work. That's the way to sweat. Okay? I don't want to be looking and going like, look at this loser. Oh, that's my son. Right? That'd be a pretty miserable place to be, I submit to you. Because you failed. You failed as dad. There is no bigger failure. There is no bigger failure. I will compare it, and it's going to sound blasphemous. They're going to be your fallen angels. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. So, all right. I know you're coming up to me, you go like, it's time to quit, right? Shit, I haven't even covered 50% of what I was going to talk about. Oh, well, it's fine. Participate, it's your job. I'm going to read you something before I open it for questions. And again, I'm not imposing, my brand of faith on anybody, but I want you to listen without, attributing it to a specific denomination or whatnot. This comes from St. John Chrysostom. The beauty of a woman is the greatest snare. Or rather, not the beauty of women, but unchastened gazing. For we should not accuse the objects, but ourselves and our own carelessness. Nor should we say, let there be no women, but let there be no adulteries. We should not say, let there be no beauty, but let there be no fornication. We should not say, let there be no belly, but let there be no gluttony. For the belly makes not the gluttony, but our negligence. We should not say that it is because of eating and drinking that all these evils exist. For it is not because of this, but because of our carelessness and insatiableness. My English is second grade. Thus, the devil neither ate or drank, yet he fell. Paul ate and drank and ascended up to heaven. Pretty heavy. It's our job to teach our sons to do that. School will not. Strangers will not. Whether it's private school, public school, they will not do that. They will lead them straight to fall. And you go like, I blame them. Who let them walk that way? Who allowed them to walk that way? Because I have no time? Shut up. I'm such an inspirational speaker, right? All right. I didn't even cover half of this. I was going to hurt some people. I even brought a shovel. I was going to call Sam up on the stage again, and Sam is already going like, that's why I sit in the back, not in the front. Right? Well, Lewis is not here, so I cannot use Lewis, right? Any questions?
Real quick before we get to your questions, just so everyone doesn't forget that at 10:15 is the starting a food forest demo. It's going to be outside. Oh, is it at 10?
So it's now.
All right, yeah, at 10 o'clock. So starting now is the food forest demo right outside the tent here. So who has questions for Sonny? No, that one's been canceled.
And by the way, I do have a little table over there. If you guys want some offensive T-shirts, some training DVDs. My wife makes some side gig body sprays that are all natural because she's like sensitive like that. Or you want to talk about training, come see me. Questions?
Got a question over here.
not a question, a generalization. You said Christendom. Our kids are gifts from God. As the father, we are the steward of our family. It's our responsibility to educate and guide that child on the path that they're supposed to take.
Yeah.
A lot of fathers in the modern age are falling down because they're excommunicated from their families because they're not wanted by whatever reason. Society has become the father through the courts, through education, and through media.
You are correct. Who allowed it to happen? Us, men.
Yes.
Not us. Previous generations allowed it to happen.
Yes.
So it's not, again, it's not like there are victims, but there was no crime committed and there is no criminal. Us men allowed it to happen. We were and are in control, or we think we are, and we allow certain things to deteriorate because it's freaking convenient. Because we don't have to fight that big fight and put ourselves on the spot and we're like, it's not a big deal. Death by 1,000 cuts. 20 years later, you have the system, the society, the school, the decision makers that are all out there to remove you as a father and force you to basically delegate, raising your sons to a corrupt system. We allowed it to happen. Anything else?
Another question over here.
All right.
Sorry, also not a question. I just wanted to point out I have 4 kids. They're all homeschooled until high school when they decide they want to go take AP biology and all that stuff. But you don't even realize the things that going to school teaches you until you have a kid that never went until they were a teenager.
Yeah.
So my oldest son, who was here a couple years ago, I think you met him. He went to school, so he went sophomore year, and he's like, "Wait, I need permission to go to the bathroom." I said, "Yes, Duncan. Yep. It's not they're not trying to personally pressure you. They've got 400 kids, 1,000 kids to
Yeah.
manage. So just things like that.
It's
It never
true.
occurs to them. Someone's going to tell me when I go to the bathroom, when I have to do math. Like, I want to learn math in the morning. I want to do math at 2. Like, sorry, deal with it or come back to homeschooling. It's fine. So there
No,
are certain
you're
things that they
absolutely
don't
right.
grow up assuming because they're not in that system from when they were 5 years old all the way till 18.
Until you remove yourself from the system, you will recognize what a radical difference the system is versus homeschooling, whether co-ops or personal or whatnot. It's like with the news, if you are conditioned to listen to Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, your brain is conditioned to hear it a certain way, the way sentences are structured, put together. I didn't hear any of that crap for now probably 7 years. So last weekend we were driving together to Kentucky with Lewis and Josh, and Lewis put on the Fox News on the radio. I was ready to shoot him, Josh, and myself. It was atrocious, because after separation from that, you kind of go like, damn, they actually tell that people, and a lot of people believe what they tell them. It's scary.
I was in private school most of my life, in public school a little bit, but I struggled in, the grading system. I thought I was too dumb to teach my son, so I hired tutors to help me teach because I didn't have the confidence. So how do you overcome that? I mean, he ended up with scholarships, but I struggled because I was programmed in the grading system in school that I was dumb because I didn't make good grades.
Were you here yesterday listening to Dr. Berry? Okay. So Dr. Berry was talking about it, that we are inherently created by our Creator, where through our correct choices and optimal eating, we can heal ourselves from 95 to 99% of our ailments. Right? It applies to teaching. It does not take to know that much. You don't need to teach them what, you don't need to teach them how to be a student, how to learn. They'll get the process. You just shape them into being a student. I know we have that lack of confidence, right? Because we've never been taught. It has to start somewhere, because otherwise shit continues. Kids go to Caesar and they come back as Romans. Why do you think it's happening?
When a kid wants to learn something, nothing can stop them, not even you. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody, go do some good stuff. Learn about food, learn about plants and all that. I'm going to be around here for the rest of the day. If you have questions about training or you need me to punch you, come see me.
All right, everybody give it up for Sonny. And like he said, if you want to come talk to him, he's literally right outside this door. A wealth of knowledge. He's here for a day. It's up to you. Thank you, Sonny. As stated, the permaculture food forest class demonstration has just begun. And also SRF Kids started at 10 o'clock too. So if any of your children wanted to participate, that's also happening around the same time. In the meantime, the next presentation will be taking place at around 10:30, and that's going to be Sean from Off Grid and Growing. He'll be up here talking about living off grid in the digital age. So please go see all of the how to monetize your YouTube channel. In the meantime, go see the vendors. Most of them are our sponsors. Don't forget 3 Day Beverage Company, Hollow Rose Company, and Radio Made Easy are 3 of our wonderful sponsors this time around. Yes, sir. The chainsaw demonstration will not be happening. He was unable to attend today. And don't forget to